Hey everybody, let's resolve this deliberate cold exposure thing once and for all. Only facts here. Yes, indeed, it is true that if you do deliberate cold exposure in the shower, in a cold plunge, in an ice bath, whatever, in the 2 to 8 hours after you resistance train, you will reduce the strength and hypertrophy increases that you hopefully triggered during that resistance training. However, it is also absolutely true that you can do deliberate cold exposure prior to your resistance training, or you can do it on separate days with absolutely no detriment to your hypertrophy and strength increases. Okay, let's just get that one out of the way first. Second of all, there's a lot of discussion nowadays about the idea that perhaps women should not do deliberate cold exposure, or that if they do, they should use warmer temperatures than men. Here's the deal. The only thing you're really seeking with deliberate cold exposure is the release of adrenaline from your adrenals in the body. What that does is it sets off a cascade whereby the adrenaline is released from your adrenals, makes your body have a number of different reactions, not the least of which is the propensity to move increases. That's the sort of shaking, the increase in heart rate, etc. The adrenaline binds to your so-called vagus nerve. It binds to receptors on the nerve itself. Everyone thinks of the vagus as a calming pathway. Indeed, when you do a long exhale, you calm yourself down, you slow your heart rate down by way of a particular branch of the vagus, but the vagus is a multi-branched pathway, okay? I teach this stuff in neuroanatomy to medical students and graduate students. It's a superhighway or multiple superhighways, and there are branches of the vagus, including the one that adrenaline binds to, that then communicate with areas of your brain like the locus ceruleus, which then deploy norepinephrine or noradrenaline, which has a sort of a wake-up signal for the rest of your brain. In turn, that norepinephrine triggers the release of dopamine. And everyone, or most people, are familiar with the idea that deliberate cold exposure can create these long-lasting increases in dopamine, which are a kind of mild euphoria, increase in attention, increase in focus, and that's one of the main reasons why people do deliberate cold exposure. Look, very few people like deliberate cold exposure. Most everybody likes the feeling of getting out of the cold ice bath or out of the cold shower, and they like the feeling afterwards. And that dopamine, coupled with the norepinephrine and the adrenaline increase in your body, are what that nice, pleasant feeling that lasts several hours afterwards is all about. Now, getting back to this question of whether or not women should or should not do deliberate cold exposure, whether or not they should use warmer temperatures, it doesn't matter if you're a woman or you're a man. The point is the idea, the mechanism that you need to trigger is that flicking of the first domino, which is to release adrenaline from your adrenals. So for some people, that can be accomplished at 45 degrees Fahrenheit. For some people, at 50. For some people, at 35 degrees. The way I suggest you approach deliberate cold exposure, if you choose to do this, right? Because I should point out that many people will be like, I don't want to do deliberate cold exposure, and they'll give you a million different reasons. I don't care if you do deliberate cold exposure, frankly.